In 2007, the New York Giants went 9-7 on the season, just a little bit over 500. They had struggled early in the season, but as time progressed, they were starting to click. They were starting to come together as a team. So going into the playoffs, they were running side by side with another team, the 2007 New England Patriots, who were not having those same struggles. You see, the 2007 New England Patriots at that point in time were 16-0. They were undefeated. They hadn't lost a game all year versus the Giants, who were struggling to stay above 500. So both of them went into the playoffs. We had one team that was clicking and one team that was just starting to get it together. And the Giants pulled together as a team and were able to make it through the first couple of rounds of the playoffs and ultimately make it to the Super Bowl. The Patriots, on the other hand, just cruised their way to the Super Bowl. They were 18-0 going into the game. So we got one team starting to click. We got another team that was just cruising their way. And then something truly magical and spectacular happened. You see, the New York Giants came together as a team. They were able to rise up and create some miraculous moments in the game, including the very famous helmet catch that was made late in the game to ultimately lead the New York Giants, 2007 New York Giants, to a Super Bowl victory. It was an amazing underdog story. An amazing story of what can happen when a team pulls together. When it becomes more than the sum of its parts. It can do things that are spectacular. Now, you've seen stories like this before. You've seen them in the movies. You've seen them in sports. You've also seen them in business. Like the story of Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, who in 1978 decided to take a class. It cost them $5 to take a class on how to make ice cream. After spending that $5, the two of them came together with this dream. They wanted to create something bigger, and so they went out and they borrowed $12,000. They borrowed $12,000 to open their very first ice cream stand. Fast forward, and as you know, Ben and Jerry's now has tons of different flavors of ice cream, and they're one of the number one distributors of ice cream in the world. But see, this isn't just luck. This isn't just chance. When you see these stories, there's something that is consistent through every single one of them. And what I want to share with you this week, what I want to dive into this week, is this simple phrase. I want it to stick with you. You see, championship teams win championships. You can take a look at my friend Brian Benstock. Brian Benstock is the general manager and owner of Paragon Honda in New York. They are the number one Honda dealer in the world. The number one Honda dealer in the world. And if you look at what Brian Benstock has done with his team, it's truly spectacular. Now, yes, they've done some things with technology. We have to keep up with technology. But really what's behind the scenes is what a lot of people don't know and understand. You see, Brian Benstock brings speakers in to speak to his team like once a month. He brought me in to speak at one point. He had Grant Cardone in there speaking to his team years ago. So he brings powerful speakers that have powerful information and influence. He brings them in to speak to his team. Brian Benstock also has book clubs. There's books that he recommends to the individuals on his team. He basically helps them to grow in multiple areas, mentally, physically, and spiritually. He leads by example and encourages them. He's always out running. He runs marathons. He takes care of himself physically. He never lets up. He puts in the work. He grinds like crazy, right? He grinds like crazy. He does all of those things. But ultimately what Brian Benstock does is he develops championship players. He teaches them the power of waking up early in the morning. He teaches them the power of absorbing content and constantly reading and developing themselves. He teaches them self-development. And in doing so, he develops championship teams. And like I told you before, championship teams win championships. If you don't believe me, if you think it comes down to a lot of luck, you think that these underdog stories, these Cinderella stories are just something that happens, I want to give you an example. We've got March Madness coming up right now. We're here in March. March Madness is coming up. You got all the colleges, you got all the basketball. It's going to be super fun, and we're all going to watch. And in the early rounds, you're going to have these upsets, and you're going to have these teams that are going to knock out these high seeds. You're going to have the 16 seeds going to knock out a 1 seed, and all of these different things, and the brackets are going to be crazy. And then when it comes down to the end, you're going to notice something. If you look back, if you look at the trend, if you look at the history of college basketball, you're going to notice something. When it comes down to the end, the little tiny numbers that are in the corner of those teams are very likely going to be just that. When you get down to the Final Four, it's very likely going to be a bunch of single-digit teams. A lot of them are going to have 1s and 2s in front of them. As a matter of fact, if you look at the stats, the probability of each seed advancing to the next round in the NCAA tournament, the 1 seed has a 99% chance of advancing to the second round, an 87% chance to the Sweet 16, 70% chance to the Elite 8, a 40% chance of making it to the Final Four, a 23% chance of making it to the final game, 23.4%. And to give you an idea of how drastic that is, the 2 seed drops all the way down to a 10%. So as a 1 seed, you have a 1 in 4 chance of making it to the finals. Why is that? It's because championship teams win championships. So knowing that, you say, okay, well, great, Glenn Lundy. I get it. It's not just luck. It's not just a hodgepodge of things and luck that come together, but it's actually developing championship players is how we win championships. So now that I know that, Glenn, that's great. So how do I do that? How do I build championship players? How do I build a championship team? Because I want to win championships. I want to win championships in my marriage. I want to win championships in my dealership. I want to win championships with my friends and in my life. So Glenn, how do we do it? How do we build championship players? That's what I want to tell you today. And that's what we're going to talk about this week, is how to build championship teams that are equal to more than the sum of all of their parts. It starts with this. All right? It starts with this. In order for you to build a championship team that wins championships, you must create a united front. There must be a united front with you and your spouse and your children, or there must be a united front with you and your employees that you have the opportunity to lead, or there must be a united front with you and your friends or your fellow entrepreneurs, anything that you're trying to create. In order for you to create a championship team that wins championships, it starts with the united front. And see, by united front, the team, what I mean by that is your entire team must be aligned. They must be aligned. And they have to be aligned in these 3 key areas. They must be aligned in purpose. They must be aligned in principles. And they must be aligned in values. All right? Now, let me break this down so you can understand exactly what I mean by this. Glenn, what do you mean by they must be aligned in purpose? Your purpose is your why. The purpose is the why. Why are we doing this? Why do we show up every day? Why are we putting in the extra effort? Why are we putting in the work? We have to understand why. And the why can't just be about you. The why has to be what's in it for me. Why would I want to do this? Why would I want to excel? Why would I want to achieve greatness? Why would I want to put in the extra work? Why? Why for me? Help me understand. It can't be, okay, hey, I need you to do this so that we can be number 1, so that I can go and pick up my little award and my trophy. That doesn't do anything for me. Your why is not my why. We have to get aligned in purpose. You have to sit with me. If you're leading me as a team member, you've got to sit with me and say, hey, here's why we're doing this. Here's what's in it for you. Here's what you're going to get. This is how it's going to impact and change your life. When I sat down with my kids, my wife and I, we decided, man, we got to get a little bit more structure. We got 6 babies running around everywhere. It's chaos. We got to get a little bit more structure. And so my wife she put together a routine with their chores and what they do and so on and so forth, how they contribute. And we sat down and explained to them why it's so important that they become a part of our team, how it helps move our family forward. You see, in order to get your team aligned to create that championship team, everyone has to understand the purpose of what we're doing. If you're just running off this direction and you see it in your head, but you don't express it to me, I don't know why I'm doing it. I can't perform for you if I don't know why. The second part is principles. See, the principles, what that equates to is what we believe. That's what principles means. What we believe. See, your team must be aligned in what they believe. What is your foundation? What do you believe is the path for you? What do you believe is the way of doing business? What do you believe is the way that a marriage or a relationship should work? What is that foundation? What do you believe? Do you believe that you should be living life in a godly way? What do you believe? Do you believe that foundationally what you're doing with your dealership makes an impact in your community, and that people's lives are literally at stake? You see, in order for you to create this championship teams that win championships, you have to be aligned in your purpose. Why are we doing what we're doing? Then you also have to be aligned in your principles. Like, what do we believe and why do we believe it? And then lastly, we must be aligned in our values. And there are 3 key values that I want to share with you. Every team, every championship team, you'll find these 3 key values. Now, you might have some other values that go in line, but here's the 3 key values: loyalty, integrity, and honesty. Loyalty, integrity, and honesty. You see, your people, your spouse, your friends, they need to know that you got their back. They need to know that you're going to be loyal to them to the core. They need to know that your actions every action you take is going to be taken with integrity. They need to know that you're going to honestly share with them the wins and the losses. You're going to be honest with them about where they can get better. You're going to be honest with them about whether they're failing to achieve what's needed to be a part of the team or not. They expect you to be honest. We all want a safe place to live, a safe place to work, and a safe place to thrive. If you're not carrying yourself with honesty, integrity, and loyalty, you will never, ever, ever, ever build a championship team. Ever. It doesn't work without those 3 core values. It does not work. So listen, my friend. Your team has got to become a united front. It absolutely has to become a united front. They must be united in purpose. They must be united in principles, and they must be united in values. If you can do these 3 things, if you can get your teams aligned in those 3 key areas, I promise you can start getting championship results. And listen, my friend, I think you deserve it. I think it's time for you to get a ring. I think it's time for you to hold up the trophy. You've been putting in work, dude. I've seen you guys putting in work. You've been working on your morning 5s. You've been working on making an impact in other people's lives. You've been doing all of these things. I watch you, and I think it's time that you actually get the championship. So let's focus. Where do we need to get aligned? You can't do this by yourself. Who do you need to align yourself with? Where do you need to get them aligned? How do we get aligned in purpose, principles, and values? Because you, my friend, deserve to be a part of a championship team that wins championships. Listen, my friends, I know something about you that you may or may not know. I know that you are a child of God, the God of the universe, the God who made everything. He made you to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And when you stand in that, when you walk in that, when you embrace that, and then you start to surround yourself with others that fall right in line, oh my gosh, it's magnificent, the changes that you can see in your life, the transformations that you can have on your way to being a part of a championship team. And you see, you have to understand that when you do that, when you get all of those pieces of the puzzle in place, it makes a massive impact on this planet. It makes an impact on your friends, on your family members, on your coworkers. You showing up today has made an impact on me. And I, for one, absolutely stinking love you for it. I truly, truly do. If nobody's told you that yet today, I want to be the first. I absolutely love you. So go out there and be a champion. Be an absolute champion today. Get your teams aligned in purpose, in principles, and values. And go out there and make an impact. Listen, if you need more videos like this, you can go to glennlundy.com. That's right. If you want to get your team aligned, you want to get them all on the same page with the hashtag Rising Grand Planners, shoot me a message, dude. I can hook you up. I can hook you up. For real. But most importantly, come back here again tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. We're going to do this all over again on hashtag Rise and Grind.